Hello and welcome to the channel. You have an iPhone and a 2019 Plus Ford Ranger. Have you ever used the Fordpass app? Do you want to be able to do this?
Here, you see it? Start my truck.
Start command sent.
Well, today I'm going to show you how to do that and more using iPhone, Siri, and the Shortcuts app, as well as the connected truck system that Ford has. So for those of you who don't know, Fordpass is an application and interface made by Ford for a number of their vehicles that support a kind of a connected ecosystem. So you can remotely start your vehicle, you can get information like oil change information, tire pressure, and stuff like that. Now, one of the issues though with the app is it's kind of crap. And especially on iPhone, it had issues with battery drain and et cetera, et cetera. So somebody out there on the internet put together kind of an API that lets you make calls directly to the Fordpass system, so you can do whatever you want with it or make your own type of application or interface for it. Now, one of the easiest ways to do it, if you have an iPhone, is with something called Shortcuts, which right here is this little button that looks like an S that's called Shortcuts. And these are basically kind of automation tasks that you can build for your phone, kind of like a if this then that, or other types of integrations like that. So one of the things you could do with it is, some of the examples for starter shortcuts they have is automatically texting things. You can tell Siri to do certain things, and you can form kind of a if else and whatever system that you want to control or do different things. So one of these shortcuts that I use is like a open camera one that's set to if I double tap the back of the phone using the accelerometer built in, it'll automatically open the camera app. But there's so much more you can do with it, and possibilities are endless. It depends on how much you want to invest your time into figuring out how to program them. But they're really not that difficult, and it's pretty straightforward, kind of plain text programming. But for this tutorial, we're going to show you, whether you've used this before or you've never used Shortcuts before, how to set this up to work with your Ford Ranger, specifically because that's what I have and that's how I set it up to work with it. This works with other Ford vehicles, but your mileage may vary on what app or what items you can pull data from and what types of controls you have. So by the end of this video, you'll be able to ask your vehicle how much gas you have or whether you need to get more gas, be able to start or stop your vehicle, figure out mileage remaining, whether it's unlocked or lock it or unlock it remotely, just through your voice actions. And you could do this with your iPhone itself or with an Apple Watch. All you got to do is say the keyword to wake Siri up and ask it whatever you want. And we'll show you how you can kind of customize your shortcuts to reflect how you might talk or what you might want to ask to it. So there are a few caveats that you have to know for setting this up. First thing is, obviously your truck and your phone need some kind of internet access to talk to each other. Second thing is there is a bit of a delay. That's just how long it takes to get from your phone to the cloud wherever Ford servers are, then back down through their service over the LTE modem that's in the truck to do commands. So there are a few things that you're going to need to get this working. So one of the first things you're going to need to get this to work is you're going to have to set up the Fordpass app at least once. So you're going to need your username, you'll have to log into the application. You can not allow or just whatever get rid of these notifications, because once you get logged in and you get the other piece of information out of here, then you can uninstall the app. So you don't actually need the FordPass app running or on your phone or device to be able to use this, to use the shortcuts. Now, under the vehicle tab, you'll see like your information, fuel level, odometer, location, and stuff like that. You'll want to go to your vehicle details and copy that VIN number somewhere, or just get it off your truck, but this is kind of an easy way to get it. So you're going to need the VIN number, your username and password for FordPass, and that's basically it that you need from this application. And then the next step that you'll need to do is for shortcuts to work, the shortcuts are pre-made, and in the video description there's a link to a Reddit post that has the shortcuts already in there and the instructions and everything to do this as well. But what you're going to do is you're going to click on each one of those from the phone. So you'll load up the Reddit post on your phone, click on each one, and it'll download that shortcut application or file to your phone so that you can run it, and it'll add it to your shortcuts. But the first thing you need to do is allow third-party shortcuts. So since you're not getting it officially from Apple, you have to allow the phone to be able to use those for security measures. So this page here, under your settings and shortcuts, you have to enable allow untrusted shortcuts. And there you go. Once the green check is there, you can now open up and run untrusted shortcuts. So proceed at your own risk with this. Okay. So now we're going to open the Shortcuts app. There's nothing in here right now other than the one that I created and the starter shortcuts. I did create a folder called Truck, which you can do that if you go to the main shortcuts page here and you click the folder button right there. You can create your own folders just to keep things a little bit better organized. And then what I'm also going to do now is I'm going to go to the Reddit link on my phone. Right here is the it's in the shortcuts subreddit that is dedicated to Apple shortcuts stuff. So here you can read all about it. There's a summary and everything. And it goes through a couple of stages here. So the first part of this is required shortcuts. So some of the required shortcuts include FordPass settings, get FordPass token, and get vehicle status. Now basically what these three do is the FordPass settings one will, it's a shortcut that gathers your username, your password, and your VIN, and then it passes it through the web API to FordPass. And what that does then, using the get FordPass token shortcut, is it uses that to authorize with FordPass, and then it gets a token back that allows the rest of the shortcuts to work with the API. So basically, once you set it up, your phone has a secure connection and a verified connection to Ford, to their FordPass API, to be able to send and receive commands. So unless you do this process, so without the VIN number and username and password, obviously, nobody else can connect to your vehicle. But those are things like just, your password and everything that you want to keep secure anyway. So the get FordPass token, like I explained, takes the information that you insert into the first shortcut, gets the token, and sets the application up. Now, both these things you only have to do once, and once they're set up, then everything else works off of that. The third one here is get vehicle status. So get vehicle status basically makes an API call to the FordPass web service and pulls back a bunch of data. I'll show you here actually what that data kind of looks like. So as you can see here, this is a text file of the information that the phone gets back when it makes that call to the FordPass app. I'll go into this more detail later on in the video in the more advanced section, because there is information in here that you can pull or use for other types of vehicles like hybrids or electric vehicles, as well as stuff that is not used within these shortcuts. And we'll show you how to create a custom shortcut using some of this other data that isn't in the initial setup shortcuts here. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and click on the first shortcut here, which is the FordPass settings. There you go. So it pops it, downloaded it, popped up, and it says, asked me to add the shortcut. Now, if you did not enable untrusted shortcuts, you'll just get an error that says that you can't use untrusted shortcuts. So you have to enable that first before you're able to download any of these. Go ahead and add this first. And what it'll do is it'll ask you to fill out this information. So it'll ask for the FordPass username. And then we'll continue from there. Next, it'll ask for the FordPass password. And then we'll hit continue from there. And the last thing I ask you for is the VIN number. And it adds it to the shortcuts. So under all shortcuts here, we have FordPass settings. So that is the first step done. And that's really the only place where you have to enter information. Now what I'm going to do is, as I add these, I'm going to add them to my Ford truck folder down there, just to keep things organized. And you can long hold on it and then kind of drag down like that, and it'll add it to the folder. So the next thing we need to do is go back to the Reddit post here and run the Get FordPass Token one. So this will download that shortcut. And like I said, everything that this does you can see before you even install it here. So here's what it does. You know, it runs the FordPass settings because that's where the information is that it needs for password, username, and VIN. It copies those settings over to variables within this shortcut, and then it uses this to connect to the IBM Cloud, which is what Ford uses as their backend. It's basically just a cloud service for their application. And it passes that through, and it gets the access token back that it needs to be able to connect later on to pull or push information. So I'll go ahead and add this shortcut. And there it is. I'm going to go ahead and move this down. Almost. I wish I had an easier way to move these shortcuts around, but there we go. Okay, so now I'm going to run this by clicking the little gear icon there. So it says Get FordPass Token would like to run other shortcuts. What it's going to do is it's going to run the FordPass settings shortcut to pull the information to itself so they can use that to get the token ID. It would like to access the fcis.ice.ibmcloud.com. Like I said, this is the server that Ford uses for their API stuff. So you're going to hit OK. And it's running the shortcut there. All right, and after it runs, you'll see a little check mark pop up where those three dots are. After, you'll see like the little circle complete, and then that means it's ran. So it has the token, and now we can start pulling data. So we're going to go back to the Reddit post here. We're going to click on the Get Vehicle Status one. Now all this does is it uses that token to connect to the cloud service, and then it pulls a file that has all the vehicle data available down to the phone. So we'll hit Add Untrusted Shortcut for this one too. Now this one you can't really see anything from, so it doesn't really do anything until you build another shortcut that uses it. So I'm going to again move this down to my folder, and then we'll go back to the Reddit thread, and you have these feature shortcuts. So the feature shortcuts are things like start my car, stop my car, is my car running, lock my car, unlock my car, is my car locked, what is my car's range, how many miles are on my car, what is my car's oil life, and where's my car. And that's just kind of about 2/3 of the total information that the Ford Ranger responds with. So you can get even more information. So you can say something like how many miles do I have left, and it'll base that off of how many miles the truck says you have left based on how much fuel you have. But you can also ask it what the percentage of fuel that's left in the gas tank is. But we'll show you how to do a shortcut that's based on that later on, because it's more of an advanced option there. Now you also notice that everything says start my car, because this thread is by somebody who was using it for their car. But we'll change that to truck, or whatever you want to call it. So if you have a name for your truck, you can change the shortcut. So when you ask your phone to give you your gas status or whatever, You can say, you know, hey, how much gas do I have left? Or, hey, does my, I don't know, whatever the name of your truck is, need gas or something like that. So back in the Reddit thread, we'll go ahead and click the link for Start My Car. It'll ask me to put the shortcut, add the untrusted shortcut here. It's added to shortcuts, and I go back to my shortcuts here, and it's right here. Now I'm going to go ahead and click and drag this down to the folder that I created, just so it's easier to find things. Now you notice that it says Start My Car, but we're going to go ahead and change that. So all you can do is you'll click. So on any of these shortcuts, if you click the three little buttons there, three little dots, it'll take you to the settings for that shortcut. And once in there, you click that again, and it brings up the details for that shortcut. So here you could change things like the icon or the color of the icon. You can also change the voice command that you use to start it. So we'll change this to truck here, like so. Hit done. And now the first thing that you need to do after you install one of these shortcuts, you can change the name and everything, but the first thing you need to do before it works with the voice assistant is you'll have to run it. So in the upper left hand corner, there's either like the gear icon or the power icon or whatever here. You click that. Now it's going to ask you, would you like to run other shortcuts? So this shortcut runs the other shortcuts that we already installed to be able to get the information and pass the commands through. So you definitely want that to be okay. And then Start My Truck would like to access the Ford.com, which is what we want. And it'll show its little progress bar there. And it ran. So now real quick, let's go ahead and add the other shortcut. That is My Car Running? Alright, so add the Is My Car Running app. Add Untrusted App. Go back to the shortcuts. There it is. Now I'm going to go ahead and click this to run it. Again, I'm going to allow it to run other shortcuts. Okay, now for me to be able to get feedback from this, first of all, I'm going to go ahead and change this again to truck. I go ahead and play it from here. You'll see it kind of run through this. Here is it. Is my truck running?
Hi, it's nice to meet you, Ethan. Your vehicle is running.
There you go. So basically that reached out since I already did the Start My Truck shortcut, and it's running right now outside somewhere. So now I can go ahead and stop it too, because I don't want it to sit there and run right now. So again, I'm just going down through the list of shortcuts on the Reddit thread. Now the other thing you could do is you can actually rename this from here. So this is the page after I click it. It brings us up to add the shortcut. And I change the name, so I just, ask it about my truck. Now, here's another trick. For some reason on my internet here, it's having some issues when it initially runs. So if you need to kind of reset it, if it gets stuck there in the like getting ready to run state, if you close the Shortcuts app and reopen it, it'll clear that, and then you should be able to run it again. You'll see the progress circle pop up there, and there you go. So now I can do this again. I can say, here is it. Is my truck running?
Your vehicle is not running.
So there we go. I stopped the truck from the shortcut, and I asked it, and it's not running anymore. So I'm going to go ahead and add the other shortcuts from that thread here. So there's lock, unlock, is it locked or unlocked, vehicle's range, how many miles are on there, where it pulls from the odometer, car's oil life, so if you need an oil change. And the Where's My Car one is neat because it'll actually bring up a map that'll show you where its last known GPS coordinates were. So I'm just going to go ahead and run through and install all these here. I'm also going to change the start text for it to truck from car, wherever it's applicable. And again, now that they're all installed, I'm going to go through and run each one manually, just to make sure the permissions are set up correctly before you can run them through the voice assistant. Okay, so all the shortcuts have been added from the Reddit thread, and I ran each one manually. After it was installed, I changed it to, say, truck where it said car, and I moved it into the truck folder just to keep the shortcuts organized here. Now, one thing you can do, if you want to edit one of these and go to details, you can also add this to the home screen. So what this will do is it'll add all the shortcut to your home screen, so you just click it if you don't want to use the voice assistant to use this. And then I can just run it like this. And like here's the one that shows you where a vehicle is, so this just shows you the last known GPS coordinates of your vehicle on Apple Maps for you. Great if you don't remember where you parked it or something like that. But one of the big features for this is the convenience of using it with your voice assistant. So let's say, let's ask it how far I can go with it. Here is it. What's my truck's range?
Your vehicle has 316 miles of range left.
So there you go. All right, and one of the other great things is if you have an Apple Watch, you can use it to run the commands too with Siri. Here is it. How many miles are on my truck?
Your vehicle has 44,391 miles on it.
And that's basically how easy it is. So this is kind of the minimum setup. You can choose what shortcuts you want to use or don't want to use. And this does work if you have shortcuts synced between devices, so between like an iPad, iPhone, or multiple devices. It'll sync those shortcuts, and you can run them wherever Siri is. Now, that's the basic setup of this, so this should get you up and running. You saw kind of the way that you can change the activation keywords for it. So you can change it from car to truck, or change it to the name of your vehicle, or whatever you want to do. There's other things you can do in it too, so just to kind of keep it simple before we go into the advanced section here. So if I go to edit like this one, you can look at things like you can change what it reads back to you. So like this one says your vehicle, it'll get the information from your vehicle, and it'll say, your vehicle has 4,000 miles on it. You could change this to say whatever you wanted to, and then it'll speak that text for you. But that's basically it right there. Hopefully that helps a lot of you out. If you have any questions or whatever, leave them in the comments below. I'll try to get to them, or help with the community. The Reddit thread and the Ranger 5G forum post that's related to this is also linked below, plus a bunch of other information, basically like how it works, and the original creator of all this, the person who wrote the kind of the API interaction system for it, is all in the comments below if you want some more information. And the last part of this video here, I'm going to show you kind of some advanced ways to do things, and how to create a shortcut, not necessarily from scratch, but how to create your own. To pull one of the information pieces that it doesn't have on here is the percentage of fuel left in the tank. So if you stick around for that, that'll be the last part of this video, and we'll get started now. All right, so for this part of the video, what I want to do is I want to make a shortcut that I can ask the voice assistant to tell me if I need gas, and based on the percentage of fuel in the tank, it will tell me if I do or do not, and it'll also tell me what percentage of fuel I have left. So let's get started with that. We'll go back into the Shortcuts app here. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create a custom shortcut, but I'm going to use an existing shortcut and duplicate it to kind of make it easier. But what I want to do is I want to ask the system, ask the iPhone, Siri, whatever, do I need gas? And what I want to do is make it so that based on the percentage of fuel in the tank, it will respond with a yes or no, and it'll also tell me what that percentage is. Now, if you notice, none of these other shortcuts here showed a percentage. So like how many miles are remaining of fuel pulls the distance to empty variable. But in the file that the API returns, it's a JSON file that has all of the information in it. There is a fuel level. So in the JSON file, under the fuel heading here, you have a couple different things. So you have fuel level and distance to empty. So the existing shortcut uses distance to empty. And this is basically just like what your dash shows when it's, you have 300 miles left of range. But I want it to pull fuel level, and I want it to give me the percentage. But if you notice that percentage there is a really long number, just like any of these are. They're long strings. So we also want to cut that off, and then have the system tell us if it's above a certain percentage or below a certain percentage, whether we need fuel or whether we don't. So the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to copy this shortcut that is what is my truck's range, and you long hold on it. I will duplicate it. Then I'm going to edit it, go to the details, and I'm going to clear this out so I can basically ask it, do I need gas? There we go. So in this shortcut, this is the, what was already in here. It's get vehicle status, get the value for vehicle status, fuel, distance to empty, sets the variable distance to empty, adds it to a dictionary value. It converts that distance to empty to kilometers, the default value that you get from the vehicle is in kilometers. Everything's metric. So the distance to empty is in kilometers. That's the format. And then it converts it into miles, sets it to 0 decimal places. So there's no, 0.6000 whatever miles on there. And it does all this other stuff. So what we want to do is I want the variable of fuel level. And note that capitalization, you have to follow it on here. So whatever it is in the file is what it is on here. So first word of whatever the string is lowercase first letter, and then every other word after that, or every word after that is first letter is capitalized. So we'll go ahead and change that there to fuel level. I'm going to go down here and change this variable to fuel level as well. Same thing, lowercase and then capital. Now this isn't a measurement, it's just a percentage. So I can get rid of that. I can also get rid of that because I'm not converting anything. And now you see here, converted measurement, it's red because that value doesn't exist anymore. So I'll long click on it. Actually, let me go down to this one first. Somewhere, there we go. Because I need to save that fuel level variable there. So if I long click on this now, there we go. So we see the fuel level variable is available for that. So what this will do is it'll take the fuel level, 100% or whatever it's pulling back from the truck, and remove all the decimal points after that. So it's just a round number. Now it doesn't round it, but it's just an integer number. Actually, the first thing I need to do is we will add an if-then statement. So we'll go under scripting. So basically, to add anything, you'll go plus scripting if, and it adds an if and statement there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click and drag this down to the bottom. I'm going to get rid of that. Okay, so here we go, scripting. If formatted number, okay. So if formatted number, which is the fuel level, is greater than 50, so over 50% fuel, then I'll go in here and I'll add documents and text. And I will put this text right there. And what I'll say is, let's see, you are good on fuel. There's formatted number. You can enter it right there. Percent remaining. There we go. So if the formatted number, which is the fuel level, is greater than 50, what it'll do is it'll create a text that'll say you're good on fuel. There's formatted number, which is whatever that percentage is, percent remaining. All right, so now otherwise, let's say if it's less than 50%, I need to get gas, so I can add another text field here, like so. Drag this up to otherwise. So all this is an if-else statement. So if this is true, then do this. Otherwise, you should fill up. There's only that number percent left. There we go. So now we need to have this output something. So far, all it's doing is it's either, if this is true, it creates a text entry with that information in it. Otherwise, it creates a text entry with this information in it. So now we'll go in here, we'll add speak text, and if result is what it will speak. So the result of the if statement is either this text or this text. So whatever is true is what it'll speak. So now I'm going to go ahead and play through this just to make sure it works. So to get the status, pulls the information in it. And there's the result. So it says you should fill up, there's only 102% left. So I messed something up here because it's not quite really straightforward as how this works. Okay, so here's a gotcha. If you want to do like a comparison operator for the if format here, you need to make sure that your formatted number or whatever is coming in is actually a number and not just text. So here I selected formatted number, and you select the as text there, and I change this to number. Hit done. Then now when I select this, I can say is greater than, is less than, whatever. So I'm going to hit is greater than 50. So now when this runs, if there's more than 50% of fuel in the tank, it should tell me I'm good on fuel. Otherwise, I should fill up. Let's go ahead and run this and see what happens. It's gathering the status, doing the comparison. It's going to speak the result, and the result right there is you're good on fuel. There's 102% remaining. Now, I did just fill up, so 100% would be like, you know, top of the tank, but I filled up completely. So it does seem to be pretty accurate as far as the percentage you get back here is like percentage as it is on the bar graph on the console. So now I could say something like this. Let's see. Here is it. Do I need gas?
You're good on fuel. There's 102% remaining.
And there you go. That's basically all it is to create a custom shortcut or interact with this. There's a lot more information online if you check the description below. There's links to some tutorials on how to use the iOS shortcuts, how to customize things. There's a link to to Apple's own documentation on it, and a bunch of other stuff to help you out. So hopefully this gets you started and makes things a little bit easier if you need quick information on your truck or what you're going to be doing. You could even set it if you wanted to, probably. That if you woke up in the morning, it was, you had it tell you your morning routine, depending on the temperature outside, it could automatically start your vehicle or whatever. Lots of things like that. So, hey, let me know what you end up creating for your shortcuts. And if you need any help or information, like I said, the resources are below. And post down in the comments, and somebody might be able to jump in there and help you out. But otherwise, have a great day, and thanks for watching.